If Redskins get to 8-8, they'll find that even a bad NFL can still be pretty good. Think about the names. Then cast your mind back to August, just 4 months ago, and imagine what a chillingly brutal season you might have imagined for Washington if you thought they would have to be your stalwarts in December. Then, perhaps, consider reevaluating what you think of this 6-8 Washington season, which still has 2 winnable games left. When you consider the team's blighted roster and its brutal schedule, the toughest by far in the NFL this year, maybe Coach Jay Gruden and his team are just a couple of respectable wins away from having one of the best disappointing seasons this town has seen in years. The 3 leading tacklers for Washington in its homely but huggable 2015 victory on Sunday over the Arizona Cardinals at FedEx Field were Zach Vigil, Kendall and Martrell Spaight. The overall star of a victory which was built on a Washington defense that didn't allow a touchdown was probably defensive end Anthony Lanier II, who had 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 3 passes batted down and 2 quarterback hits. In training camp, Vigil wasn't on the radar, Fuller was a nickel back, Spaight a backup linebacker and Lanier an undersized project. The sky is the limit for him. Anthony Lanier delivers breakout game for Redskins. The biggest offensive play of the day was a 39-yard dash for a touchdown on a screen pass by Kapri Bibbs, playing his first game for Washington after only 22 days with the team. The bubbling smallish Bibbs was out of the NFL and on the street for 10 weeks just hoping he'd one day get another chance. Quarterback Kirk Cousins, almost devoid of offensive weapons against a strong Arizona defense, and playing behind a smashed-up offensive line that included backups Tyne Sek, Eric Coengio and rookie Chase Rillier, still managed a stellar 116.8 quarterback rating and 2 touchdown passes. Without injured Trent Williams to cover his blind side against NFL sack leader Chandler Jones, Cousins played game manager all day, nursing a Washington lead with conservative calls, yet still completing 18 of 26 passes for 196 yards. He also survived a vicious legal, center-of-the-back, full-speed sack by Jones late in the game that left Cousins wincing. But he returned, saying, "I dodged a bullet. I feel like I dodged a bullet there." Kirk Cousins unharmed after big hit in fourth quarter. This team, which has started 26 different combinations on its offensive line, according to tackle Morgan Moses, and is currently without 11 players projected as starters before the season, at least the way safety DJ Swearinger counts it, still has a shot at an 8-8 record. The Redskins haven't done it yet, but they are facing a decent 5-9 Denver team at FedEx next Sunday, then the woeful 2-12 Giants in the Meadowlands on New Year's Eve. If they win both games, they'll wind up with an average final record in a season that, all things considered, may be one of their better coached and most professionally played seasons in years. These Redskins will never admit to much pride in any record that doesn't have playoff spot attached to it. But you can hear the dignity when Swearinger, who broke up the last fourth down pass to future Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald with 23 seconds to play inside the Washington 10-yard line, says quietly, "That's the NFL game, make the most of what you have. We're still looking for wins. This team will even take homely ones like this where they are outgained on the ground 141-31 and lose time of possession 36 hours 16 minutes to 23:44. When your third stringers are suddenly starters, development project players must turn into contributors immediately and you just hope that those guys off the street can remember the plays they just learned. You can't be choosy. Instead, you have to be tough, and put an end to Arizona drives at your own 23, 17, 9, 1, 16, 14 and, finally, 21-yard lines, turning those possessions into 5 field goals, a first career interception for linebacker Preston Smith and that final fourth down stop. That was the game, story of the day, said Gruden. Their red zone offense against our red zone defense. I would call this win more desire than desperation, said Gruden. We celebrated. Everybody's relieved. They played hard and I feel happy for them. Perhaps Gruden's most overlooked quality is his sincere belief in the talent of his players, and infectious confidence. Some, like me, see limitations in basic ability throughout his roster, players who are injury-prone, or who came here from the scrap heap or are inconsistent, or who have ability but show no signs of turning it into significant production. In other words, the stuff that makes a 9-7 or 10-6 team in the best of seasons. But Gruden honestly sees much more. At bleak points in bad games, he may seem deflated. But he's essentially optimistic and jovial by nature and, after the pain subsides, he sets an example of resilience. Players know, and care, what the head coach really thinks. Gruden really thinks they are good, that they can constantly get better and, even after their last two stinkers, and plenty of ugly spots in this win, that they should stay proud of themselves. Over the last 3 years, are they 23-22-1 because of these qualities in an often relaxed non-NFL type coach, or despite it? Brewer, the Redskins weren't impressive, but they weren't a disaster. That's progress. At the least, Gruden brings out the best out of players that others have doubted or rejected. This year, he's had to count on them by the boatload. His bond with Cousins may even have its roots in their common experience, Gruden in trying, and failing, to get to the NFL as a quarterback and Cousins in trying to be anointed as a trusted franchise quarterback, of constantly being doubted. I've been that doubted guy. I've been cut twice. I've been on the couch watching football. You're just hoping to make your presence felt in the league again somehow, said Swearinger, praising all the unlikely contributors this year. Professionals, the best ones anyway, never make excuses, even when they are chest deep in them. Unlike so many Washington teams in the last quarter century that shirked responsibility for their failings or flat-out quit late in seasons, this team owns its record and its beatings. One player after another mentioned how badly they'd played the last 2 weeks in losses to the Cowboys and Chargers. And some recounted the 2 games that got away that might have changed the season. If Josh Doctson, held to just 2 catches for 16 yards by the Cards, had held a potential touchdown pass in the end zone in Kansas City with 51 seconds left, or if the team, with a 99.6% chance of a win late in the fourth quarter against New Orleans, hadn't collapsed, this season might have been different. But it wasn't. So, it will have to be swallowed whole, just in the proper context. And that context includes a schedule so tough that, according to the website Pro Football Reference, Washington has, in effect, started its 13 prior games at a deficit of about 48 points before the opening kickoff. For one day, let the newest mini-hero on this team, the 5'11", 203-pound Bibbs, stand for all the fill-ins that have played like standouts. When I scored, it made my heart glow, said Bibbs. 3 weeks before, Washington called me for a workout. I had a dream that I was trying to make a team in burgundy and mustard uniforms, this team, said Bibbs. When they really did call, I thought, it can't just be a fluke. But Bibbs didn't make the team after that tryout. I thought, maybe I wanted it too bad, he said. Then, 2 weeks later, they did call me back. And now it's worked out just like my dream. This Washington season has been closer to a nightmare. But, in a couple of weeks, maybe they'll end their season with their heads up in the sense that, sometimes, even though you're not allowed to say it out loud in the NFL, a bad season, all things fairly considered, can still be pretty good. More Redskins coverage. Redskins rebound from back-to-back blowout losses to squeak past Cardinals. 2015. I feel like I dodged a bullet there. Kirk Cousins unharmed after big hit in fourth quarter. Best and worst moments from the Redskins window.